Hi, welcome back to the Distressed Princess. I'm Rhonda. In today's video, I'm doing a throwback to the 90s. How many of you all remember these old crafting magazines? Sometimes when I was a crafty kid, I would get my hands on one of these country craft magazines and I would pick out a couple of things to make out of it. And I always felt like a big time crafter when I crafted something out of these magazines because they were like real home decor, and my mom would put them out for everyone to see. So today I'm going to recreate some of those crafts I made when I was much younger, and I'm starting with a doorstop doll. I don't have a picture of the original doorstop doll that I made or the magazine that it came out of, but this is something similar and I do remember how I made it, I hope. Now here's a little backstory. Anytime that I made crafts when I was younger, same as I do now, I tried to use what I already had. So what I had was a pillow. And this is twofold. I can use the fabric because I loved the blue ticking stripe, and I could use the polyfill for the doorstop doll. And of course, it's one of Piper's very favorite things to craft with. I'm going to use this vintage hanky for her apron, and a flour sack towel for her head. So I've cut the pillow apart, and this is one whole side of the pillow that I'm using for her body. In the center, I put a big old bunch of polyfill, and then for her weight, because she is supposed to be a doorstop doll, she needs to be weighted down, I'm using a little package of sand from the Dollar Tree, and it weighs about 1 pound. The first time I made this when I was 13, I went out and found a really heavy rock out in the yard. Then cover up the package of sand with more polyfill. Now gather up all the sides and edges to the top, forming kind of a little pumpkin type situation. Then use a rubber band to secure everything together. Meanwhile, Piper is sleeping on his polyfill cloud, and we are cutting off the excess fabric at the top of our little pumpkin body. Now I'm going to take some of that flour sack towel and do sort of the same thing for her head. And the first time that I made this, the instructions in the magazine said to use some pantyhose, and so that's what I did. But I'm trying to also kind of update these 90s crafts to something, I don't know, something a little more modern. So I'm using this flour sack towel. So of course you want to make the head smaller than the body and then secure it with a rubber band. And cut off the excess fabric on that too. Now when you attach the head to the body, the bottom part where the rubber band is tying it all together, that's going to go down toward the back side of your doll. So it's all going to be hidden. Don't worry about all the lumps and bumps. Try to cut off as much of that fabric as you can, but it's going to be hidden because we're going to make her a bonnet. Now hot glue the head into place, but this is only just to keep the head where we want it. It's not going to be the permanent hold. We're going to actually sew the head onto the body so that she for sure will never fall apart. Now using some white thread, I just stitched all around the head, attaching it to the body using some pretty wide stitches. Now we're ready to make the bonnet, and you can trace out a pot lid. You just need to make a pretty big circle, and I'm using the other side of the pillow fabric. Now you'll need another long piece of thread, and I'm going to show you the neat hack for tying the best and easiest knot in your thread. Is to hold your needle in your left hand and then pinch the thread down over the needle and wrap it about 5 to 7 times and then pull the needle through. I was a very happy crafter the day that I learned this hack, and I'll show it to you again in just a little bit in case you missed it. Now, leaving about 1 inch to 2 inches from the edge of your circle, you want to start stitching a gathering stitch. So it's just a really simple stitch. It's just going in and out of the fabric with a pretty good space in between your stitches. So when you pull the thread at the end, it's all going to gather up and make a ruffledy bonnet. I'm leaving the edge of my bonnet just raw, but you could hem that so it wouldn't be a raw edge, or you could add lace if you wanted to. So you tweak this and make this doorstop doll however you would like her to be. When you're done stitching all around the edge, don't cut your thread yet. First pull it and cinch it up to make those gathers. Then take some of the polyfill and stuff your bonnet. And still, before you cut your thread, try it on your doll's head first to make sure that it's all fitting the way you'd like it to fit. Because at this point, you can still make some adjustments to the bonnet as to how much polyfill is in there and how tight you've cinched the bonnet. So make sure that's all good before you stitch your thread to end it and cut it. Next, fix the bonnet on your doll's head and make sure that the back is covered where the back of her head is put together with that rubber band. And then with a new piece of thread, start stitching it all around her head. And I'm going around the same line that I stitched the ruffle into the bonnet. And at the end, there's going to be a ribbon over this, so you don't have to worry about all your stitches showing if that bothers you. Now she's really coming together and starting to look like a cute little doll. Time to make her an apron, and I'm using this vintage hanky that corresponds with the ticking stripe. So cute. And so I'm going to cut the hanky in half and only use 1/2 of it. Then I folded down the top edge for 2 reasons. First, to shorten the apron to the height I needed it to be for my doll, and secondly, it finishes off that edge. Now get your needle and thread ready again, because we're going to make another gathering stitch to do the apron, and I'll show you again how to do that knot. Needle goes in the left hand and pinch the thread together upside the needle, and then wrap 5 to 7 times. Pinch the thread and the needle together and pull through. Now make the same kind of stitch on the apron that you did on the bonnet to make the gathers for the ruffles. And this is my favorite kind of sewing to do. It's quick, fast, and easy. And it doesn't have to be entirely precise. You don't have to be a wonderful sewer to do this craft. So when you come to the end of your apron, then just pull the thread and gather it up so that it fits on your doll. Then make a stitch at the end to secure your thread and cut it. Then the apron goes on around the neck, so it's kind of like a collar, but really it's an apron. So you could definitely use fabric glue or hot glue to attach this, but I did use some tacking stitches, so that's just a few little stitches in just a couple of places just to hold it on. Now then, she is mostly done. She's all assembled. All she needs now is a few little details like eyes. And so I got out my stash of vintage buttons. So I'm picking out a couple of blue buttons. So she'll have blue eyes. And I used hot glue to put those on. And then some Dollar Tree ribbon to go around her bonnet. And I used hot glue to attach that. And there she is. And I call her Mrs. Tillsbury. Today I have a product review for you. It is the Apron Seagull Pro, and it is a robotic vacuum for your pool. So here is how my pool looked when we took the cover off, and you can see it's really green and there's lots of stuff down in the bottom of it. So I'm really curious to see how this robot pool vacuum is going to do in this nasty pool. So Apron sent me this Seagull Pro for my honest review, so I'm going to let y'all know exactly how I think it performs. It is supposed to charge in 90 minutes. It's supposed to run up to 150 minutes, and it is capable of climbing up the walls of your pool. So we're going to test that out and see how that does. It has 3 cleaning modes. You can clean just the floor, you can clean just the walls, or you can clean both. You can see that the machine has these scrubbers on it, so I'm really excited to see if it scrubs up that slick algae that's probably growing all over my pool right now, having just took the cover off of it the first time this year. So here goes. We charged it up, and it did charge up quickly within the 90 minutes that it said that it would, and it's going for its first swim. So you can see how cloudy this pool is. In real life, we could barely even see it when it sunk all the way to the bottom. But you can see it blow bubbles, you know when it's moving, and it's set right to work. We'll watch it take its first path across the pool, and you can kind of see a clean line behind it. We added our chemicals, and this is the next day. So we're looking a lot better, and we're ready for a second dunk. So here he goes for his second swim, and I was really excited now that the pool is just a little bit clearer, well actually a lot clearer, that I could see the debris getting sucked up into the vacuum. And here again you can see the clean path that is coming out from behind this seagull across the bottom of the pool. This is the retrieval hook that you add to the end of your pool brush pole, and you can pick up the seagull just by hooking it onto its handle and pulling it back out. And since we can't see in our cloudy pool yet, we wound up snagging it by where its roller brush is, but it was okay. It has a really large container with the filter that holds all of the debris that it sucks up, and this is after the second swim, and you see all that nasty algae and grossness that was all over the bottom of the pool. We continued adding the chemicals, and it's getting clearer and clearer, and here comes the third dunk of the Seagull Pro. And now that we can see really good what it's doing, I'm going to speed up this video, and you can see it going all over the pool. And I'll tell you the things that I've noticed. So the product claims that it goes in, I forget what they call it, a wavelength pattern or something, where it goes up and back and up and back. But I have not noticed it doing that. It's kind of bouncing around like I see a lot of indoor floor vacuums do. And I don't know if maybe if you had a rectangle pool that maybe it would do the regular pattern, but in my round pool, I don't really think it's doing that. Now, when it's set to do floors and walls, it's supposed to do all the floor first and then do the wall. But we never saw ours climb up on the wall, and that could be because this is an Intex pool. It is not a straight up and down wall. The sides do kind of bulge out a little because it's just a plastic liner essentially. So if you have an in-ground pool or something sturdier with more straight up and down sides, then maybe the wall function would work better. For us, it so far hasn't worked at all. So maybe if you have a pool like I do, a different version without the wall function would work. You could save your money there. But I'm telling you, it really did make opening our pool a heck of a lot easier this year. We let the robot run 3 times. We added our chemicals like we were supposed to do, and the pool is clean and clear and ready for swimming. So I am really super happy with this product. There are links in my description box where you can buy from the Apron website or Amazon.com, and some enormous discount codes in my description box. I'm very happy with how it cleaned my pool, and so I give it my seal of approval. Now back to the DIYs. Do you all remember the era of the decorative hat? So I definitely made one of these when I was young. So now I'm going to make another one, but I'm going to try to update it with some more modern style and colors. So I'm using this Dollar Tree hat, and I actually picked this hat out because I liked its black and white polka dot ribbon. I also gathered up some other supplies I thought I might use for this hat, which was this hair tie, because it was black and white polka dot too. And I got some hot pink ribbon and some black and white check ribbon that I didn't wind up using, but I got them on hand for future projects. I got some flowers, some greenery, and you'll notice the wooden home that will go at the top of the hat. So that's the thing that's going to update this hat. I'll start by removing the original ribbon, but it will come back. Then using wire cutters, I snipped off my roses and my white flowers. I left a little bit of wire on them so they would be easy to tuck down into the hat. And then the greenery, same way. Before I attached anything, I played around with the placement of all the flowers and the greenery, and then I played around with how I would want my bow to be and where I wanted my little home sign to go. Now get out your little finger protectors if you want to save your fingers from some serious burns, and start hot gluing all the flowers into place. Now that you got your flowers and greenery all fixed into place, now we'll work on the bow. I decided to use the hair tie, so there's a hack. If you can't find ribbon that you like, go look in the hair section at the hair ties, because this was really cute. And the reason why I wanted to pick this was because I want there to be some long tails hanging off the bottom of this hat, and the original ribbon was kind of flimsy and just not bulky enough. So I'm using this scarf. I cut off the edge because I liked the bigger polka dots better, and so I'm just going to roll it up to make some tails. When I saw that it was going to hang the way I wanted it to, then I secured it in place with hot glue and glued it to the hat. Then I tied the original ribbon into a bow, and I'm going to glue that to the center. And I'm really happy I picked this hot pink color. It's bold for me, and I'm really happy I went this direction. Now I'm going to paint up the home sign. I'm using black apple barrel paint for the home sign, and I only painted the front because the back won't show. And then I hot glued it to the top of the hat. Then I looped a piece of jute string and cut it off. That's going to be a hanger for the back of the hat. And so I put it in the center so I knew that my hat would hang like I want it to, and I hot glued it in place. When I was making my hanger, I noticed that the back of the H was sticking out over the brim of the hat, and it wasn't painted on the back, so I went back and touched that up. Typically in the 90s, we would hang our decorative hats on the wall, and you still could do that, but I'm going to use this one as a door hanger. The next 90s craft is a pillowcase angel, and although I never made this myself, I thought it'd be a good thing to add to this video. Besides, you know I have plenty of vintage pillowcases, so this is the one I chose to use for my angel. You're supposed to take some polyfill, wad it up in a ball, and put it up into the top center of the pillowcase, and that is going to be the angel's head. Then take a piece of ribbon and tie it up. Do a double knot and then make a bow, and I left enough ribbon that it would have some long tails. I only wish that I would have had some pink ribbon, but I guess the green coordinates with the leaves and the flowers anyway. Now take some polyfill and stuff the corners of the pillow, and this makes her wings. Now take another piece of ribbon for each side and tie up the wings. Now I tied it in the front and I had some little tails, but then I just turned that ribbon around to where it would be at the back when I got done tying my knots. Then you take a piece of lace, and I had this really cute pink crochet lace, and you glue it to the top of her head like a bonnet. I guess you could also sew it to her head if you prefer to do it that way. So I'm really not sure about the pillowcase angel. I think she turned out like she was supposed to, but I think you kind of have to use your imagination to see her as an angel. I don't know. I put her on my bed. You tell me what you think. Here's a look back at all of our 90s country crafts updated. So you'll have to let me know what you think of these 90s country crafts. And don't forget to check out the Apron Seagull Pro. Even if you don't get that one, they have other pool vacuums for your budget, and I think they work fantastic. So check out my link in the description box for those coupon codes and links to buy, and I will see you next time. Bye!